looking forward to that there Starfield, eh? I love video games. Hi there, I'm Jane Stephanie Sterling and I love video games. Do you love video games? That's awesome, because I love video games too. We're going to talk about a video game which I love to do, and it's a video game that I'm just sure I'm going to love because it's a video game and I love video games. This isn't about Zenimax and Bethesda mistreating a worker. It's just about video games.
I worked at Zenimax Online Studios from October of 2018 to the beginning of May 2022. In January of 2021, my boss outed me as a trans woman. Eventually it led to ending my career there.
I gotta tell you, if there's one game I'm hype for more than anything else right now, it's Starfield, the hit upcoming game from Bethesda that's going to be critically acclaimed and get top review scores, whether it's good or not, which is how you know it's gonna be good. You could say I've got Star Fever!
Again, I made it pretty clear during our initial private conversation that I needed this to be casual and within my control. Elphaba reveals my new work photo to the team via sharing her screen, outing me during the last few minutes of our morning scrum. I'm shocked. Those who are participating in the meeting began talking about my new picture after it was revealed. Elphaba ends the morning scrum before I have the opportunity to say anything at all. I was forced to come out via text chat, very awkwardly, and in no way how I had imagined it. I was devastated for the rest of that day.
After all the delays, the waiting, it feels like Todd Howard's Magnus Anus is at last a real, tangible thing that's actually going to come out. All the video game news sites are talking about it, as it's easily the biggest and most important thing involving Bethesda Softworks that's happened in the past week. I mean, has anything else of note happened? Can't think of anything, no. Just in the past 24 hours, the top games media outlets have been a buzz with Starfield coverage, and since we've been taking a lighter, less depressing, far more apolitical tone on the Jimquisition this year, I thought it'd be edifying to look over this avalanche of hot goss and juicy news to aid me in my goal of demonstrating exactly why Starfield will be the biggest game of a currently undetermined period of time. Let's start with the absolutely wild sales predictions that Microsoft had for Starfield, because not only is it a great indicator of just how massive this game is expected to be, it seriously does feed into a point I've made many times about the often absurdly over-optimistic sales expectations that publishers have for their games. The kind of expectations that see companies routinely express disappointment in a title selling below expectations when they only sell several bloody million copies. So yeah, Microsoft expected Starfield to sell over 10 million copies, not across all platforms but on PS5 alone. In a 4-hour video, Leona Farron, a former developer for The Elder Scrolls Online, provided a highly detailed account with receipts detailing a pattern of shockingly transphobic behaviour at Bethesda Softworks. Now, in fairness to Microsoft, a game selling over 10 million copies even on a single platform is far from unheard of. In fact, The Last of Us Part 2, a PS5 exclusive, has indeed shifted 10 mil. Perhaps the more shocking revelation in retrospect is the fact that Microsoft still elected to cancel the PS5 version in spite of its prediction after the Xbox maker acquired Bethesda in 2022. Not quite sure if it's as shocking as, say, holding a trans employee's medical care hostage to pressure her into leaving the company and signing away the possibility of hitting it with a discrimination lawsuit on the way out.
I can come back to work tomorrow. I got everything resolved, but I wanted to see what you would want me to do. But I also saw that all my products were shifted onto.
We did a sanity check today because it was the middle. It was the middle of the week. You had said you were going to be out all week, so we needed a plan for that accordingly. Because of things just being a bit kind of sporadic, like of when you're taking time off. For you especially, it's pretty important to get those products hooked up.
MS believes it can recuperate any potential losses from Starfield's Xbox exclusivity via Game Pass subscriptions and a subsequent increase in Xbox sales. The decision to cut the PS5 out of Starfield's release has been a controversial one, of course, but its developer has since revealed to be a big believer in exclusivity, as it demonstrated when it kept Leona exclusive to her own set of duties away from the rest of the Elder Scrolls Online team. So committed to exclusivity, it made the tools Leona needed to do her job exclusive to her old pre-transition name, consequently locking her out of accounts for months and undermining her ability to perform her duties. Anyway, back to the big news of the week. The Starfields. These delectable details regarding Starfield came out thanks to the FTC case against Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard, another company with a history of prejudiced and discriminatory behaviour towards its employees. What is it with Microsoft and picking up scumbags? They're as bad as me when I've been drinking and desperate in Leeds city centre.
If all I had, it's a new process, so it's not like I'm doing something that comes natural. I'm trying to be innovative constantly.
I can see that, yeah. Yeah, that's definitely part of this position. You are not the only one who's felt like this in the career of this type of position. By no means. Like, some people are built for this. That's how their personality is. Others can do it for 2 to 3 years, and then it's the same thing. It's actually the same type of comments you have. Balance is needed, right? Like, if you are continuing to be on this team, we've got to find balance somehow. If you are overwhelmed with the amount of, doctor's appointments, or if they're asking you to not do something for 3 to 4 hours,
I've just to take the time, which is not.
Yes.
Going to affect my career. Yeah, it's
a different position, like a different role. Not that I want you off the team. Like, I chose people to be on this team for a reason. You are always, having to go to the doctors frequently, or they're asking you to not do something for a few hours or whatever, is not good.
What other important Bethesda stories have been covered this week? Oh, here's one. Fans are concerned that the game's only going to run at 30 frames per second on consoles. If there's one thing that unites the gaming community more than anything else, it's low frame rates. There's nothing more outrageous in gamer circles, not even management outing someone's transition to her co-workers and protesting her right to change her name, insisting she stick with her dead name to avoid the technical issues she'd been having with logging in. I mean, that's trivial compared to a computer game not running at 60 FPS, isn't it? God, I know I'm being sarcastic, but I also know the dwindling percentage of hardcore gamers that still watch me all just nodded in agreement, and it makes me want to be sick into a little bag.
You canceled the team meeting. I told you I was going to come out of the closet the same day of the meeting, and then I was pressured over Slack to quickly find an alternative because everyone had seen my new work photo. This was devastating.
Yes.
I don't know how else to put that.
I don't understand.
The whole thing makes me sick, really. The game industry, I mean, just in general. I'm really trying to avoid this series being the depression fest it turned into a few years ago, following the constant stream of stories outlining abuse and discrimination that seemingly riddles the video games business at every fucking level. I even hit upon a revelation recently. Ever since my video on the historical context of the term JRPG, I've, just not wanted to talk about the usual grim misery of games. Shaking my head in fucking despair every week at layoffs, executives being slimeballs, the corrupt excesses of the economic system, and systemic abuse is not what I want my job to be anymore. This year has seen some of the most fun I've had in years making videos on more varied and interesting subject matter. Like when I looked at the news the other week and saw multiple layoff stories, I felt a pit in my stomach because it felt like I had to go back to the topics that bring me and the audience audience no joy. Back to the videos that are gross and miserable and neither fun nor edifying. I don't want to go back. Of course, people don't want to be laid off either, and their situation is far more serious than some comfy little content creator doing a cry because they gotta do something they don't like on their silly little video series. And trans people don't want to be outed, to have managers glibly speak their dead name and demand its continued use, to be excluded and told their reliability and that their new identity is causing chaos. Oh, and I think you'll find that now that we've dropped all sarcasm, it's time. It's time to do something. You know what it is. Oh my, yes. There's something quite poetic about that clip being pre-Stephanie.
Your focus is everywhere else but on the job.
It's definitely not.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know. And you being concerned about creating another chaotic situation, that's not for you to be concerned about. My job is to be here to clear that chaos. And no matter what that means, that's what my job is. It's
Oswald.
job. It's HR. It's IT. It's to unblock you so you can do your job.
One always has to be careful when reporting on allegations, even ones as detailed and backed up as the charges Leona has levelled against Bethesda. Believing victims is the prime directive. But any reporter must still employ their own judgment when a situation involves folks they don't personally know. As we found out last year with the lengthy saga of Helena Taylor and Platinum Games, sometimes a case is more complex than it first appears. And should one choose to pick a side, as I most certainly have in this case, you gotta accept you're sticking your neck out on trust. Having said that, I'll tell you what's made this particular situation utterly compelling. The idea something as simple as a person changing their name could throw Bethesda into anarchy is one of the most believable allegations I've ever heard in my life, because Bethesda is just that bloody incompetent. The company couldn't even handle giving people canvas fucking bags. Of course it tracks that they can't handle the technicalities of a name change. It's the kind of thick-headed, bafflingly stupid display of terminal inability that I've come to expect from a company so thoroughly run by imbeciles I could dedicate an entire video solely to their ineptitude, which I have already done. Obviously. People change names all the time. It's hardly surprising that Bethesda wouldn't know how to deal with it. I mean, Jesus carpet-munching Christ. What does this company do when someone gets married? Do their computers just explode? The absolute state of that legendarily ineffectual company never ceases to amaze me, despite the consistent demonstration that Bethesda's a complete rectal circus. For sanity's sake, I've tried to keep this video from going too dark. I laid out in my Hogwarts video exactly how fucking terrifying it is to be a trans person right now, and I don't want to put me or you through that again. You know, I really wanted to talk about fucking Exoprimal this week. I have shit to say about it. Instead, we have the fucking ghoulish concept of a company holding somebody's medical care to ransom in order to kick her off the job because they were too fucking stupid to understand simple concepts like name changes or new photo IDs. God, the sheer farce of it would be funny if it wasn't so fucking ghastly. But still, Starfield's publicity machine has kicked into high gear, so expect any of the company's misdeeds to be conveniently swept under the same rug that's covering Activision's abuse of its employees, Ubisoft's protection of sex abusers, the industry's crunch and financial exploitation of disabled people, and sorry, should I just shut up and let you be hyped for Starfield? Okay, sorry, I'll do that.
So in September of 2021, I contacted Bethesda Corporate because I felt like the studio's human resources was not taking my issues seriously. I shared with them everything that I've shared with you. The recordings, screenshots, everything. They responded by viewing me as a liability that they needed to get rid of. And it was also at this time that I was put under management with Oswald. Thankfully, because under his management, I blew it the fuck up. I wasn't being blocked anymore. And my velocity shot through the roof because I was working for someone who didn't care that I was trans. So I had my surgeries scheduled for March of 2022 and July of 2022. My surgeries were going to come in 2 parts. I needed to have both surgeries done. I couldn't have the first surgery without the second one. It would have been very unhealthy for me. They would have been leaving screwdrivers in me and shit. They need those back. But it would have been putting my health at risk to have one surgery and not the other. I needed both. But then in January of 2022, I was put under a performance improvement plan because Alphaba was allowed by corporate to do my yearly review. And she gave me straight ones across the board. She said I didn't do my work. She said that I was rude in meetings, that I was made inappropriate comments in public workplace forums. Dozens of vague statements that were criticisms of my work ethic and character, all of which were lies. But corporate saw me as a liability, so that didn't matter. It was a way to get rid of me. In the same conversation, I was pulled into a group meeting with human resources that included Zenimax Online Studios human resources and Bethesda Corporate's human resources. And they extended to me a one-time offer wherein if I agreed to resign and release them from any potential discrimination lawsuit, they would pay for my Cobra premiums. They were holding my surgeries hostage to coerce me into resigning. I refused.
The video, as I mentioned, is 4 hours long. There was no way I could do justice to it in a Jimquisition length video, but it paints a very clear picture. If you recognise the patterns, if you recognise the signs, if you've seen this before or you've heard enough of the stories. Now, to a lot of cis people, I fully understand that to some of them, what they've seen in this video, even what some of them may see in the entire 4 hours, would have them shrug and say they don't see the problem. But I've experienced it myself in this job, and almost every trans person I know has experienced it. The sudden change in perception, the sudden change in attitude, the sudden change with regards to your apparent performance. This happens so much. And as I say, I've experienced it myself. I've talked about it on this show. The people that suddenly thought I was being too rude in my game reviews, the people that saw me do things that I've done for the entirety of the 10-year career I've had in these videos. They've seen me do things and they've now taken them as signs that I'm having some sort of mental breakdown. We know what this looks like. And to some cis people, to a lot of them, because they've never experienced it and they've never had cause to see the patterns, it's invisible to them. It's just invisible. But that pattern is there. And I like to think that a lot of you, if you actually do see what's going on, if you actually do watch that video, or hopefully this video's done enough, because I think the most telling part of all of this was that one clip I posted where Leona tried to explain why outing her the way she was outed had devastated her, and that manager just said, I don't understand. And that's a real problem because people don't understand. And because they don't see that there's an issue, they don't believe there's an issue there. And you know what? Some of this isn't necessarily transphobic born of hatred. It's not hateful transphobia. It's seeing someone change and assuming that that impacts their convenience and their comfort and the fact that they have to change, see someone differently, treat someone differently when they really don't. It makes me think, and I've thought about this for a while, it makes me think about the way, say, vegans are treated. Because they're treated like they're whiny and an inconvenience, and they complain and they force their beliefs onto other people when most of the ones I know don't do that. Instead, they're treated as an inconvenience because people that aren't vegan have to think about vegan options, have to think about offering something a little bit different than what they're used to. So they project that, they project their lack of understanding, and they project their issue with a change onto someone else. And I noticed this so many years ago now. It's not just like something like veganism, it extends to allergies. I don't know if you've seen media portrayals of people with allergies as whiny and impositions and an inconvenience. Now, I'm deathly allergic to nuts. I know, ironic. And I feel awkward about that sometimes, self-conscious about that. I don't like to bring it up because I don't want to be an inconvenience. But that's what you're seen as if you're different, if you require a little more sensitivity, a little more understanding. You're an inconvenient, you're trouble, you're chaos, you're a liability. You're all the things that Zenimax and Bethesda said Leona was. And if you've never been treated like an inconvenience, you may never see the pattern. But it is there. It's as evident as the fact you have to thank God for me.
One thing I neglected to make clear, and Phoenix actually pointed it out while they were watching me do the video, is that any one situation that Leona has mentioned and that other trans people have mentioned in their lives, any one isolated situation can be taken as innocuous. It's the sum of the parts, it's the pattern, it's how all of these little things coalesce. It's not just one thing, it's never just one thing, or even a few. Lots of little things that add up to a big thing, which, by the way, is how you can actually treat marginalised people well. Lots of little things, little acceptances. You do not have to rearrange your life. Just treating someone with kindness and understanding seems like it seems like an obvious thing to say. But people go overboard. With the way they treat marginalised people because they think that's what we expect. And it's not really. We want what everybody else wants. A simple fucking life.
Starfield.